I never thought this would happen. For over 20 years, I believed the answer was simple: work harder, work more. Eventually, things will get easier. But here's what shocked me: the harder I worked, the more it felt like we were falling behind. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that realization was about to completely change the direction of my life. If we haven't met yet, my name is Charlene. I am a wife, mom of 3, and I have worked in dentistry for over 20 years. And for most of my life, I genuinely believed that if I worked hard enough, eventually everything would fall into place. Do you know what I mean? Work hard, pay the bills, take care of your family, be responsible, and eventually things would get easier. At least that's what I thought. But that's not what happened. Instead, it felt like every time we got ahead, something else happened. A car repair, a medical bill, school expenses, life. Maybe you can relate. I remember having to check my bank account before going to the grocery store. And I remember standing in the grocery store, doing the math in my head. Okay, if I buy this, can I still get that? Can this wait until next payday? Because when you've been there, you know exactly what that feels like. And what frustrated me the most wasn't that I was lazy. It wasn't that I wasn't trying. I'd been working hard my entire life. So why did it still feel like we were constantly trying to catch up? I wasn't trying to become rich overnight. I wasn't trying to retire early. Honestly, I just wanted a little breathing room. An extra $500 would have felt life-changing at the time. Enough to stop stressing. Enough to stop feeling behind. Enough to feel like we could finally get ahead. So I started looking online. And if I am being completely honest, I tried things. I tried side hustles. I tried affiliate marketing. I tried opportunities that looked exciting. And most of the time, I ended up frustrated. Not because they were bad, but because I didn't really understand what I was doing. I felt like everyone else knew something that I didn't. I would watch people online and think, what do they know that I don't? Because I'm willing to work, I'm willing to learn. So why does this seem so easy for them and so confusing for me? And honestly, after a while, I started wondering if maybe it just wasn't meant for somebody like me. Maybe I wasn't techie enough. Maybe I was starting too late. Maybe people like me couldn't really do this. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be another way. And then this happened. One day after work, I was sitting in my car and I remember thinking, is this really it? Is this what the next 20 years is going to look like? Work, bills, stress, repeat. Because honestly, that thought scared me. Not because I hated my job, because I didn't, but because I wanted more choices. I wanted more flexibility. I wanted more time with my family. I wanted to stop feeling like my only option was to work more hours if I wanted to make more money. And that's when everything started to change. Because for the first time, I became open to the possibility that maybe there was another way. So I decided to start looking again. Not for another job, not for another side hustle, not for some magic shortcut. I was simply looking for a different way, a different possibility, a different path. And that's when I came across a training program online. And I almost ignored it because by that point, I'd seen a lot of things online, a lot of promises, a lot of opportunities, a lot of people claiming that they had the answer. But something about this felt very different. And looking back now, I think it's because it wasn't focused on hype. It was focused on learning, and that caught my attention. So I took a closer look, and eventually I made the decision to buy. And that decision has changed everything. Not because I suddenly started making money overnight, not because all my problems magically disappeared, but because for the first time, I was learning skills that I had never been taught before. Inside this program, I started learning content creation, digital marketing, lead generation, email marketing, how to automate it so it runs 24/7, and how online businesses actually work. And what happened next surprised me because for the first time, things started making sense. I wasn't just watching people succeed anymore. I was starting to understand what they were actually doing. And that was a huge shift for me because before that, it all felt like a mystery. Now it felt learnable. And if it was learnable, maybe I could do it too. So I started learning. I started watching the training. I started implementing what I was learning a little before work, a little after dinner, a little on the weekends, a little on my lunch breaks at work. Nothing glamorous, nothing exciting, just consistent. And then I learned something else that completely changed how I look at the program. It came with Master Resale Right, which basically meant that I could learn the skills inside of the program, and I could also have the ability to resell the same program while keeping 100% of the profit. And at first I didn't fully understand that, but the more I learned, the more it made sense. Because people weren't buying it just to resell it. They were buying it because they had wanted the education inside, the skills, the proven roadmap. The resale rights were simply an added benefit. And what really stood out to me was this: I wasn't starting from zero. I didn't have to create my own course. I didn't have to spend months building a product or website. I didn't have to figure everything out by myself. I had training, I had support, I had done for you systems, and I had a roadmap. And for a busy working mom, that mattered a lot. Now, things look different. It's not perfect. I still have goals. I still have things that I'm working towards, I'm building, but I don't feel stuck anymore. I don't feel like my future is already decided. I don't feel like my only option is to work more hours if I want to make more money. And yes, the income started coming too. But the biggest gift wasn't the money. It was hope. Hope that there was another way. Hope that I had option. Hope that I wasn't stuck doing the same thing forever. Hope that maybe I could build something that actually fit around my family instead of competing with. And that feeling is hard to explain unless you have experienced it for yourself. So if you're sitting there right now, you're working hard, you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, trying your best, and still wondering why it feels like you can't quite get ahead, I want you to know you're not alone, because that's exactly how I felt. And if there's one thing I have learned through all of this, it's that working harder isn't always the answer. Sometimes learning a new skill changes everything. So before you go, I want to ask you a question. Do you feel like you're doing everything right, but yet you still can't quite get ahead? Drop a comment down below. I love to read your comment. And if you're wondering what I have found and what I started that has changed everything for me, make sure you click the link down below, grab the free blueprint, and it's going to explain everything to you. I'll see you in the next video.